Hey guys, Soro and Disney here, and we're going to talk a little NXT, and we're going back to normal here. It sounds like this week there's not going to be anything jumping in the way to change up the schedule or change up the plan, so everything should go normally. So tonight, Ashley and myself are going to be doing a live popcast for WWE Raw as soon as it ends, about 11:30, and I'll put a link on my Twitter to that actual podcast, so you guys and girls out there can join us live. And we'll answer your questions live on the chat room. Don't forget, use the hashtag WWE Popcast, 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 not podcast. And obviously that leads to Wednesday. Wednesday will be Impact Wrestling, and Thursday will be a brand new Sip and Snack. Finally, that root beer special I've been promising for a couple of weeks, finally going to happen this week. And on Friday, AJ's movie reviews will be Hot Pursuit and some limited releases. Gaming with Ash makes its triumphant return on Saturday with a huge one. And Sunday, your cryptic comment for Versus is Crime Boss. So that's coming up your way the rest of the week here on Pop. More Halloween Horror Nights news, if I ever get any at this point. And I'm sure I'm going to be joining the In the Loop podcast to talk all things theme parks and Halloween Horror Nights in the near future. And once I know about information that way, I will let you guys and girls out there know via my Twitter. So let's talk NXT for this past week, shall we? Kevin Owens comes out to a mixed reaction from the crowd. He's got a very vocal fan base in Full Sail University, and a lot of people that don't like what he's been doing lately. So he wanted to finish off Alex Riley once and for all, but Sami Zayn had to come out and play the hero. So he got a nice chant from the crowd of Sami's gonna kill you. He calls Sami Zayn out, and instead comes out the general manager, William Regal, to a nice reaction, as always, because he's very respected, and he deserves to be, because William Regal is one of the greats. He says Kevin Owens will not use NXT to further his own agenda. And Kevin's like, I didn't ask you to come out here. I have no care about what you have to say. I want Sami Zayn out here right now, and anything you say is inconsequential. So Regal gets frustrated, and they get a fight Regal fight chant, which, oh my god, a fight between Regal and Owens would be amazing. Sami Zayn finally does arrive. Regal stops him. Basically, he wants some decorum. He wants some order here. Regal makes it official for TakeOver on May 20th. It's going to be Sami Zayn getting his rematch against Kevin Owens. But Owens decides, no, he hasn't earned a rematch. As a matter of fact, after he lost the championship to Kevin Owens, he kind of just bombed out. So he hasn't earned a shot. Sami goes, you know what? It's kind of like ever since we started together, you've pretty much been in my shadow. Anything you've ever done of greatness in your career has been partial to because of me, including this title reign, obviously, referring to the fact that Zayn is the person he beat for this championship reign. Sami turns it around against him with what Kevin Owens has said since day one. He's not fighting for anything just important and unimportant. He's not fighting for no reason. He's fighting for a prize, and that prize is the NXT Championship. And basically when Owens says, you can fight me in the ring, that's fine, but the title's not going to be on the line, Sami Zayn turned it right around and says, I only fight for a prize, and that prize is certainly not fighting you. It's to regain the NXT Championship. So that's going to be announced officially for NXT TakeOver on May 20th. The week after Payback, actually. So it will be Ashley and myself doing a NXT popcast that night, so stay tuned for that one. So we go in the back, and my good friend Greg Hamilton is in the back, and he's talking to Enzo, Big Cass, and Carmella, and the three of them start fighting. Greg Hamilton not fighting, but they start fighting, and Carmella basically dismisses Enzo and Cass. So Alexa Bliss, of all people, shows up and says that she really needs to show a little bit of class, and Carmella's like, oh no, you didn't. And next thing you know, she slaps her. Blake and Murphy, who have been lurking in the shadows during this entire goings-on, come out to Alexa Bliss and ask if she's okay, and she's like, I'm fine. So we're continuously building here. When we come back, Sami Zayn is in the office of William Regal, and he's actually signing his contract for the match at TakeOver. And Alex Riley interrupts, and Sami Zayn basically kind of says, Kevin Owens can get in your head. I totally know that. And Riley's like, did I ask for your opinion? And Sami's like, dude, I'll fight you if you want. But I mean, it's not going to end well for you. So they make a match. It's official. Regal's like, fine, well, you guys can face off. And Riley goes something to the extent of, if you don't make it to TakeOver, I get Kevin Owens instead. Setting up our main event for the evening, which is going to be Alex Riley against Sami Zayn. This opening cluster here, obviously, I love the chemistry between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I have since day one. All their growing back in the Canadian independence, all the way to Ring of Honor, and now to NXT. I've loved everything they've ever done, and they work together so well. If William Regal could actually put together another match in NXT, I would love to see him fight Kevin Owens. I think that'd be an entertaining match. And if anything, and get some heat on Owens even further by destroying William Regal. I know it's worked before others, but I think this actually could be a good thing to utilize if they really wanted to go that direction. Now, on the terms that Alex Riley is getting a little overzealous, and he basically is like, you know what, I want Kevin Owens, and Regal's like, you've proven a couple times you can't beat him. I'm out of opportunities for you, so, you just grin and bear it, and if you want to go back to commentary, that's cool. You want to stay on the roster, that's fine, but I can't get you another match against Owens until you prove yourself. And Sami Zayn basically like, you know what, I understand Kevin Owens getting your mind, getting your head, he's done it to me before, and Riley takes offense to this and basically thinks that he's being called out, that he can't beat Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn offers for a fight, so that sets up our main event. Carmella arguing with Enzo and Cass, and Blake and Murphy watching in the shadows, that's fine. Alexa Bliss, of all people, showing up and saying that Carmella needs to show some class. Carmella slapping her. I mean, it'll probably lead to something. I know Carmella and Bliss did tag work over the weekend in the house shows, but it ended up with Carmella getting left, and Bliss she ended up working heel, and on the heel side of the things, and she ended up leaving her partner, so they've been on opposite sides of tag team matches. I don't think heel when I think Alexa Bliss, but maybe they'll go that direction. I don't think they will, because they don't have enough baby faces in NXT right now in the women's division to propel, especially with the fact that Sasha Banks is by all means a heel. I mean, you pretty much can say that sometimes most of the NXT roster are you can't really tell if they're face or heel, honestly, and I think that's by design. I don't think you have a few people that are legitimate heels. Obviously, Kevin Owens is a legitimate heel, and everybody else, there's like a huge gray line. Sami Zayn is like the ultimate baby face. I mean, I get that. Bayley's an ultimate baby face. So, I mean, most everyone else you can go opposite ways with. So we get another match. Our actual first match of the evening. Non-title match. It is Big Cass and Enzo Amore taking on Blake and Murphy. So, Wesley Blake. Okay. He comes out with, to quote Steve Buscemi in a wonderful film called Airheads, a stylish little pony knob, when he's talking about Michael McKean's character of Ian. And that's basically what it is. And it's only utilized to do two things. Infuriate the crowd and to look really cool when they're bobbing their heads during the wah-wah dubstep entrance. Because they are the dubstep... They are the dubstep posse there. The laser guns, I like to call them. Dubstep muscle laser guns, yes. I haven't said that in a while. So this match is short, straight and to the point. Cass is warming the apron the whole time as Enzo gets worked over by Blake and Murphy. They cut the ring off until, out of nowhere, Enzo pulls off his version of the bareback, and this allows for a final tag in to Big Cass. He comes in with a high running knee on Buddy Murphy. Clotheslines Wesley Blake over the top rope to the floor, hits the charging splash, the side slam, but only gets a 2 count because Blake makes the save. So Enzo goes for a flying body press onto both Blake and Murphy, and they scoot out of the way. Enzo gets tossed to the side like a ragdoll. Murphy blows a kiss at Carmella. This allows him to get distracted long enough to run into the big boot from Big Cass, tags Enzo in, hits the rocket launcher, and Enzo and Cass win again. Not sure exactly what this does. Putting more heat on the match, obviously. This is pretty much guaranteed to be a match for the NXT Tag Team Championships at TakeOver on May 20th. I almost guarantee that does happen at this rate. And I think it's the right direction if that ends up going that way. So, obviously you have Enzo and Cass are crowned number one contenders. They beat the tag team champions in a non-title match. Signs all point to one of two things happen. Obviously, Blake and Murphy retain with help of Carmella going heel, which leads to Blue Pants joining Big Cass and Enzo. I mean, there's a big green flag right there saying that the fact that Enzo and Cass are pretty much the reason that the gimmick Blue Pants exists, and Cass himself is basically the reason that, actually the complete reason, that the theme song of Cass singing the Price is Right theme for Blue Pants exists. So that happens. Or we further along a little bit longer, and then you give Enzo and Cass the victory without the turn from Carmella. But I think they're building up to it too much. I think that probably ends up happening. The other option here would be to have Alexa Bliss join Blake and Murphy, but I don't necessarily want that. I want to see Carmella turn and bring Blue Pants in with Enzo and Cass. I think that team would work quite well. So Bayley's looking for her headband and her shirt, and she can't find them. And her match is coming up next, so obviously she needs to find them. She runs away, and then the next thing you know, Emma shows up with Bayley's stuff. Interesting. We get an interesting promo from Baron Corbin saying he likes to take away the hopes and dreams of the NXT superstars. Interesting. Heel program for Baron Corbin. Finally, they took this stupid lone wolf gimmick and they made him into a heel. It's about time. Corbin needed to be a heel since day one. I think Mojo Rawley's the same way. I think both of them are heel commodities that need to be utilized. Mojo returned back to action over the weekend in house shows, so he'll be coming to the ring soon, much to my dismay. So yeah, Baron Corbin, later on in the show, ends up becoming the topic of interest of Rhino. Rhino basically says he wants to teach Baron Corbin a lesson that Rhino is simply not only the past, but also the present and definitely the future. So, Rhino and Baron Corbin on a collision course for TakeOver. Hasn't been officially announced, but I'm pretty sure it will be in the next couple of weeks. Bayley's in action against Dana Brooke. This match was a lot better than Dana Brooke's debut match, without a doubt. I pretty much give most of the credit here to Bayley. But Dana Brooke busted out a really awesome variant of a half crab and a bow and arrow combo. It's basically a half crab setup with the knee in between, in the back, like Jericho used to do the Lion Tamer. But it's kind of bent to the side, so it's kind of like a bow and arrow. So I really like that. It worked really well. Bayley breaks out her Sheamus offense with the double axes and the whip in, shoulder. She backflips out, leaping back elbow, and her suplex toss, which is not Sheamus, but that's where it ends right there. She goes to the middle rope. Bayley's music hits. The arm flailing inflatable tube men come out. And here comes Emma out wearing the Bayley shirt and the headband, off to give Bayley her headband. And of course, this is not being done in a nice way. It's done in a very malicious manner. Bayley still hits a spinning back elbow, and Emma distracts, trying to give the headband back. Bayley gets nailed in the back with a knee, and Dana Brooke finishes her off with the Better Than You. Yes, the Jugular's dead body driver, and wins the 3 count right there. After the match is over, Emma high-fives Dana on her way back. So yeah, I don't think we have a combination here. I don't think Emma's going to work together with Dana Brooke. They could do that, but I don't think they're going to go that direction. I think this is basically continuing to build towards the feud between Bayley and Emma, and I'm pretty sure it definitely culminates in a match at TakeOver. That's another match that I think is going to happen for TakeOver that is not officially announced yet. But what is officially announced next is due to the office of William Regal, stating that there will be a 3-way number 1 contenders match to determine who will be the next NXT Championship challenger, and that's going to be between Hideo Itami, Finn Balor, and Tyler Breeze. So, who could win this match? Obviously, I want Breeze to win this, but he's already been number 1 contender, and I don't necessarily know if they would go that direction right away. I think Balor's too obvious, because he obviously just won a shot anyway. Itami is the X Factor here. He's the one that's not really had a shot at the NXT Championship, so he might win. But I really think that Tyler Breeze could win this, but it depends on if they put the title on Sami Zayn or not. I don't know if they're going to do that at TakeOver. I would think that it makes perfect sense that Itami wins, and because he's the one who hasn't had a number 1 contendership shot, but we'll see where we go with there. Speaking of Hideo Itami, he's in action next against the master of the funk and Virgil tights himself, Adam Rose. This match is short, straight, and to the point. Rose hits a snap suplex with a float over pin, then drops the fist twice, comes off the ropes, gets a 2 count off that third fist drop, locks in a sleeper. Hideo punches his way out, charges into the back kick, does Hideo, so Rose gets a little bit more offense. He runs off the ropes, Hideo drops down, hits the leg lariat, and then we get the beginning of the end. Clothesline, and the Kenta rush after the catching the foot and the leg sweep. The round kicks, the spinning back kick, the hesitation drop kick, and finishes Adam Rose off with a shotgun kick, and that's the end of that. So, short, straight and to the point. I'm glad Adam Rose is getting some television time again. I think that he fits better in NXT. I think Emma fits better in NXT, and I think they belong in NXT for the time being. Like some people would say, especially right now, NXT is not a demotion, not at all. It's not going back to developmental or anything like that. No, NXT is its own brand in its own right, and I do think that they would be better utilized. That being said, I think it's time to take Victor and Connor and send them back to NXT as well, because they're not doing anything in WWE, and they need to be freshened back up and sent into the NXT tag team division, back where they truly belong. So Bayley's looking for Emma in the back, and she says, you know what, we used to be friends, but now she's getting her stuff back. So obviously we're building to that match. So I got to see 2 of my favorite, very attractive indie superstars on different programs. Last week on Impact, I got to see Cherry Bomb. That was awesome. Laura Dennis showed up on Impact, and she worked against the Dollhouse. This week, I get to see someone else I really like, and that is current one half of the Juggalo Championship Wrestling Tag Team Champions with someone I know very well, Badman Pondo, and that is Crazy Mary Dobson, and she was in action under the name Sarah Dobson. You can decide why she used that name, because obviously you're not using your gimmick name. WWE likes to change their names around. Don't forget, remember when they changed the names of Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards? So yeah, they've done that before. So they could copyright that name, and Sarah Dobson, they could copyright that name, and I hope they do, because I hope that she gets utilized in NXT. I think that's a great idea if that ends up happening. I know she's from Louisville. I know that she's got a lot of different things she's done for the WWE in the past. She's worked with The Miz and Damien Mizdow. She's done that. She's been a Rosebud before, and she has also basically been Kane's boss when he was selling concessions. So yeah, I'm very happy to see her on NXT. Kudos to Crazy Mary, and I'm very happy that she got this great match against Becky Lynch. Great back and forth, like chain wrestling for a while. And at one point, Becky went for like a leg grapevine, and Sarah rolls her up in her small package, and she sweeps the leg, gets a 1 count only, and nice bridge out from Becky Lynch into a seated drop kick. Hits 2 leg drops off the ropes, and then the leap over leg drop does connect, but only gets a 1 count. So later on, she goes for a scoop slam. Sarah floats over. Schoolgirl roll up 1-2 and no. And then the match ends, because then we go into the submission stylings of Becky Lynch. She locks on a modified Fujiwara armbar, and then she turns it into a deep arm breaker. And by deep, I mean she literally bent Sarah's arms to where it was like an exclamation point, like bent like completely upwards. There was no way you were getting out of it. She had to tap out. The knee was firmly planted under the chin, so like she was kind of choking her a bit and pulling back on the arm, so that can't be fun. And Becky Lynch wins. So hopefully we'll see more of Sarah Dobson in NXT somewhere down the line. So we get our main event. Kevin Owens on commentary, and as great as he is on commentary, putting over the fact that you don't need to be talking about anything in this match. You have the NXT champion here at your beck and call, basically, to answer anything you want, and you're talking about the match. And then giving heat to the commentary team for not calling the match and spending more time on other things as well. Something that Kevin Owens needs to be on guest commentary on Raw, just to remember to let Michael Cole and JBL and Booker T remember that they should be calling the match and not talking about stupid things that no one cares about. There's a reason I tune out in WWE Raw commentary. And that's the reason why Ashley covers that stuff. If I miss anything, they cover it. Unless it's so outrageous that I just, like, so dumbfounded I have to bring it up in a podcast. So, Sami Zayn and Alex Riley's your main event. Alex Riley looking in great shape. Definitely came back at the right time. But unfortunately, he's going to have surgery this Thursday on his knee. He has degenerative arthrosis in his knee, in his right knee, so they're working on that. And once he comes back, he'll be better than ever. And I'm curious to see what they do with Alex Riley when he comes back. I think he's had a nice little program in NXT since he's come back. So A-Rai hits the sudden death, which is the TKO. He gets a 2 count off of that. Zayn ends up low-bridging Riley later on in the match, hits the tope con hilo slightly, basically just heel kicked him in the head. Owens left the broadcast booth, attacks Sami Zayn from behind, causing for the disqualification. So technically Alex Riley won this match. And after this, he tosses him like the back of the head first into the entrance ramp, the same thing he did at TakeOver. And that's pretty much how everything started at our Evolution when I was there live. Owens thought about it, and of course, I love his, I think about it for 2 seconds, and then I know I'm going to just take someone down. I love that. I love it so much. So what does he do? He goes, grabs Alex Riley, and to the delight of a lot of the crowd, he finally hits the apron powerbomb on A-Ride, leaves him laying, and that's going to be what writes him off television to get his knee surgery that I just mentioned. So Kevin Owens stands tall, and that's how we end another edition of NXT. Obviously, we're building towards TakeOver. TakeOver is going to be on May 20th live on the WWE Network. It will be Kevin Owens defending the NXT Championship against Sami Zayn one more time. So, Owens-Zayn 2. Looking forward to seeing this match. Don't know if they'll add a stip or not. I think eventually you get some sort of an Iron Man match between these two. I almost guarantee that happens somewhere down the line. You remember the matches between Sami Zayn and Cesaro? I think we're going to get matches like this with Zayn and Kevin Owens. But maybe not until the title is off either one of them. But I've been wrong before. You're obviously going to see a number one contenders match to determine who's going to face one of them, whoever walks out of TakeOver with the championship, and that's going to be between Hideo Itami, Finn Balor, and Tyler Breeze. And you're going to see the NXT Women's Championship on the line, the boss Sasha Banks defending against her former BFF, Becky Lynch. So that's officially announced. Other matches that are not officially announced right now, we have Bayley against Emma, you got Rhino and Baron Corbin, and of course, you have Blake and Murphy putting the NXT Tag Team Championships on the line against Enzo, Amore, and Big Cass, Calvin Cassidy. So that's what we've got coming your way, and probably going to be some matches, potentially with like Solomon Crow. We haven't seen the Vaudevillains in a minute, so maybe we're going to see them in action, I hope so. And maybe some new talent, and who knows, very soon, we're going to be seeing the NXT debut of the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. My prediction right now, if he does not debut at TakeOver, which they'd have to push it now, I think you see the debut of Samoa Joe on the tapings at Full Sail on May 21st. That's what I'm thinking right now. That's what I think will probably happen. So if you're in or around the Orlando area and you're able to get to Full Sail, I know even if you're in the Orlando area, you may not be able to get to Full Sail because it's kind of hard to get to. But if you are in that area, check out the double shot of NXT TakeOver as well as the Full Sail tapings. And I have a good guess that at the end of the night, just like with Kevin Owens debuting, I think you're going to see a standoff between Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. And I think that would be awesome if that does happen. Either way, I think Samoa Joe's coming before June. So you'll see him before summer, actually, to be honest. So that was your edition of NXT. Sorry. Tonight will be your live WWE Raw Popcast. Ashley and myself are going to be talking all things WWE and Raw directly after Raw, starting at 11:30, running until we're done. So we'll see what happens with that. Probably until we're done talking about the show and either praising it or putting it down, depending on what kind of show we get. But we're in Montreal, so obviously Canadian crowds equal fun. So that should be an entertaining night of action. So Wednesday will be a brand new edition of Impact. We're going to talk Impact Wrestling from last week. We're going to talk about that. And we're also going to be focusing on our new sip and snack on Thursday, root beer, finally. Friday will be the normal schedule for the weekend, hopefully, as long as everything works out. We're going to have Hot Pursuit on Friday. That's a guarantee, along with some limited releases. On Saturday, Gaming with Ash returns. On Sunday, Versus has a brand new cryptic comment of Crime Boss. And hopefully you guys and girls out there enjoyed our Avengers versus Watchmen battle. That was quite epic. And once I know about myself being on the In the Loop podcast, I'll let you guys and girls out there know. So that being said, as always, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, go to Facebook, click like on our Facebook fan page. It's under Sir Owen Disney Pop, or search Sir Owen Disney and Pop. And while you're at Facebook, send me a friend request. It's Owen Disney. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. And last but certainly not least, you want to talk WWE, TNA, you want to talk NXT with me, you want to talk Disney, Universal, Halloween Horror Nights, 'tis the season after all. If you want to ask me questions, if you want to become a popcaster yourself, you can send your content. Or if you want to talk travel questions, I can answer those. That's cool. We can talk theme parks, no issues. And you can do all of this and more by emailing me, siroandisney@gmail.com. So in the meantime, thank you guys and girls out there for watching. I'll join some of you tonight for the Popcast on Raw. I'll join some of you on Wednesday for our Impact Wrestling video. And I'll join most of you talking NXT TakeOver on May 20th live after the event is over. And I'll join the rest of you probably at Payback for the Popcast right after the pay-per-view is over. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.